You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Thursday, November 7th. We are a step closer to seeing 49ers football again and seeing Christian McCaffrey take the field for the first time this season. As you can see, Monica is not joining me today on this Trash Talk Thursday. Bit of the reason why we're doing the show a little bit later in the day. She is having some fun out there, I believe, in Disneyland or Disney World, but we're hoping she continues to have some fun out there on her day off. But for everyone that's tuned in, I appreciate you. Make sure you like this video if you have not yet. But let's start off with some updates regarding the 49ers and some moves they've made and what things are looking like as far as injury report so far with this team. So first, let's start off with some of the recent moves they made. Of course, a couple of days ago, we talked about the fact the 49ers traded for Khalil Davis, a defensive tackle from the Texans. So that's not included here. We spoke about that enough. But the 49ers have signed a wide receiver to their practice squad. That would be Russell Gage, who Kyle Shanahan does have some experience with from his time with the Falcons. Russell Gage, like I said, signed to the practice squad. Jalen Graham, who the 49ers released earlier this week to make some room on the active roster, he returns to the practice squad. So 49ers will continue to develop him. And they released Dieter Easel from the practice squad. Got to be honest with you, I didn't know Dieter was even on the practice squad. So, just procedural moves there for the 49ers. And let's see, as far as things happening around the NFL, like I said, we talked about the fact 49ers brought in defensive tackle, shoring up some of their interior defensive line depth. But can I interest you in an edge? Yannick? I probably should have looked up the pronunciation of his last name before going live. But Ravens defensive end, Yannick Nakui? I don't know. I probably could still look that up, but we're live, so I won't. But the Ravens have waived him, meaning he's going to be subject to waivers. As Adam Schefter reports, the Ravens do plan to sign him to the practice squad, but because he is subject to waivers, all teams can put in a claim for him, and the team with the highest claim on the waiver list, waiver priority, will get to sign him. So I think the 49ers should go for this. Just the fact that, hey, they could probably use some more edge depth. I mean, it's certainly not a bad option. He has 2 sacks on the season. He's been a bit of a nomad throughout the NFL. Like I hadn't realized how many teams he had been with throughout his career, but I was trying to, look up some images for him to add on my slides here. And at least 5 teams showed up of different jerseys that he's worn throughout the years. So I will just say that, like I said, the 49ers could use some more edge depth. We know they didn't make moves for a pass rusher during the trade deadline. They only picked up Khalil Davis, the interior defensive lineman. So it would be kind of funny, actually, if in this 1 week, the 49ers picked up an interior defensive lineman, a safety, and Tashawn Gibson, who they brought back to the practice squad, and Yannick as a edge depth guy, right? And they wouldn't have even given up a 2025 draft pick for any of these players, and yet they bolster up some positions of need. I mean, who can argue against doing that? I think it would definitely be a smart move for the 49ers. And Corey, thank you so much for the pronunciation. Ngakoue. There you go. I got it totally wrong. So thank you for that. And yeah, what do you guys think? Do you guys think the 49ers should look to signing Ngakoue? I think the 49ers should. It definitely, like I said, would be a position of needed depth, and I would love to see it. And it would cost them probably next to nothing, I would have to imagine. So we'll see, though. The 49ers are, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure, based on their record, they're 16th in waiver wire order right now, which means there would be 15 teams ahead of them who could put in a claim for Yannick and be awarded him via the waiver claim system. So 49ers, like I said, should still go for it, but even if they do, there is a chance another team ahead of them would make that move as well. So we'll just have to wait and see, but I definitely wouldn't be mad at it from the 49ers perspective. Now, let's look at 49ers' latest practice updates. And Invader, yeah, it's just a depth move. It's just a depth move. But 49ers need some depth. So, like I said, that's why I'm not mad at it. All right, so let's look at the 49ers' early practice report for today. So we'll have the final practice report from today, Thursday, probably in an hour or so. And I'll check back before we end the show to see if there's any other updates. But Nick Wagner, one of the 49ers beat reporters, reports that he did not see wide receiver Chris Conley, who's dealing with a hamstring injury, Mooney Ward, who personal, of course, he lost his 1-year-old daughter sometime last week. So understandably, he's not present, and services for his daughter Amani is in Dallas on Friday. So, of course, the 49ers giving him all the time that he needs. Definitely on board with that. If he needs the rest of the year, he can take it as far as I'm concerned. So he is not on the practice field today, obviously. Defensive tackle Kevin Givens, groin injury for him. So those are the three who are not practicing today. There's a couple guys practicing in blue no-contact jerseys. Deebo Samuel and Jordan Mason, both in no-contact jerseys today. Something to monitor. I did catch a video of Deebo Samuel at practice today with that no-contact jersey. He seemed to be moving well. So I don't think it's something that would keep him from playing, whatever it is, but something to keep an eye on, no less. And as far as the players who are on the injury report but practicing, Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings with his hip injury, Jake Moody, all signs point to Jake Moody being back because 49ers earlier this week did let go one of their kickers from the practice squad. So Jake Moody, all signs point to him being back. Mitch Wishnowsky is practicing. John Feliciano, it seems like he's back. He's probably going to be back as like a depth option for the 49ers going forward, but that's exciting. Anytime you can have some quality depth like John Feliciano, either at guard or center, because that's what Chris Forrester, 49ers offensive line coach, said, that they're looking at him as a guard center backup. That's awesome. Should anything happen to have an option with starting capability like John Feliciano and quality starting snaps for Feliciano. So, of course, hopefully the 49ers don't need him, but really good, strong option that they have in him. And then Yetur Gross-Matos, they did open up his practice window, so he is ready to be making a return pretty soon. So that's good news for the 49ers after the bye week. They're getting some key guys back, and none more important than the guy we call Christian McCaffrey. And he looks good, right? He looks good practicing, and he looks like his old self. Of course, I don't think I've ever seen a version of Christian McCaffrey that doesn't look like he's going all out any chance he steps out on the field. So, of course, he looks like his old self. And I believe it was John Lynch that I saw said that, maybe it wasn't John Lynch, but I saw someone with the team did say that Christian McCaffrey probably could have come back a week prior before the bye week, but they exercised caution with him. So, yeah, that's probably a good thing in that case. But let's check and see what Kyle Shanahan said about Christian McCaffrey. He was specifically asked if Christian McCaffrey's workload will look any different, if they have to be cognizant of that in this game, his first game back, to which Kyle said, quote, "It definitely could, but it also definitely might not." Wow. I mean, riveting stuff from Kyle Shanahan. He left plenty to the imagination there. So I don't know if this is like a gamemanship play from Kyle, or if, I don't know. To me, I'm getting the growing sense and maybe suspicion, maybe fear that Kyle Shanahan's going to have Christian McCaffrey like play 90+% of the snaps. I've told you my stance. I really do hope that the 49ers ease him in, even if he does feel great, right? Like, he hasn't played at all this season, but I guess in the 49ers' minds, they're thinking of this as a week 1 game for Christian McCaffrey, right? In week 1, yeah, he hasn't played any games to that point, because he would have probably skipped out on the preseason. So they're looking at this as a week 1 for Christian McCaffrey. You wouldn't limit Christian McCaffrey's snaps on week 1. So they're probably thinking of it the same way. Like, why would we limit him at all? He feels great. He looks great. So that's just my growing sense, that I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to be limited at all going into Sunday's game against the Bucs. But you know who knows a thing or two about this whole situation? Is a former 49er and a former Buck for one season. Richard Sherman weighed in on this, and on his podcast, he was asked about this and brings some of that insider knowledge. So let's see what.
In brighter news in San Francisco, I know you got to be pumped about this one. Word on the street is, as long as there's no red flags, CMC is going to play this Sunday against the Bucs. Have you heard any news? I know you got your ear to the ground over there.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it from the horse's mouth. He feels really good, and he felt like he could have probably played last week, but they wanted to be overly cautious and just give him more weeks of practice and more time to really work that thing out and feel comfortable and feel confident, and he does. Nothing's like game reps, and until he gets out there in a game and is able to cut and get the adrenaline going and feel himself throughout a ball game, he's still going to have to knock the rust off just in game, football is a really fast game, a really violent game. Very few people can come in and just say, hey, I'm putting on pads and I'm going to be the player I was when I was offensive player of the year, first game into the season. Everybody else is 9 games in. They've got their hits. They got their soreness. They got the speed of the game. They're in rhythm. He has to find a way to get in rhythm, but I think all signs point to him playing and likely probably playing a significant role in this game.
All right. So Richard Sherman, like I said, chimes in on that. And yeah, I guess it was Richard Sherman, who I heard it from, that said that Christian probably could have played 49ers last game, but they decided to keep it cautious with him. So that last part is important, though. The fact that he said he's probably going to have a significant role in this game. So again, all signs point not to just Christian McCaffrey being available for this game, but having his regular role. Like, he's going to be RB1, not just RB1 with 10, 15 carries. He's going to be that guy that possibly gets 20 plus. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. Again, I don't know if I agree with it, but that's what the 49ers are going to do. I'm sure Christian McCaffrey doesn't disagree with that because he likes to be out there any chance he can get. So I do think that having Christian back is going to be huge for this team, huge for this offense. Brock Purdy was at the podium earlier today. He was asked about, what it was like to have Christian back. And of course, I mean, it's a huge boost for the team. I don't think not just for, the implications it could have for the second half of the season, but also just the energy. You feel a little bit better when you have 23 out there. So yeah, definitely is going to be a boost for this team, and they're going to be energized just knowing that he's out there. And I'm sure Christian's going to be super energized to be out there. So I just hope everything goes well. I hope he's not at risk of any injury or anything like that. But yeah, and Technic, I forgot too that Richard Sherman was a Buccaneer. I actually, not to spoil the Thursday trivia for today, but because I almost made it a Richard Sherman related question, but it is not. And I looked up like who are former 49ers Bucs players, and then Richard Sherman came up, and I was like, no, he didn't play for the Bucs. I looked it up. He did. It was 2021. I totally forgot about that. But that was his last season. So yeah, also a bit of a surprise to me. But yeah, like I said, all good news regarding the availability of Christian McCaffrey, and I guess it's good. He's feeling good. He feels like he's not going to be limited at all. So that should go a long way for this team and for this offense come Sunday. So really pumped for this game. Pumped to see how different this team looks like coming out of the bye with Christian back. All those things. I think we're all very anxious to see what the second half of the season holds for this team, because man, they have to put something together. They have to get a run going. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So yeah, hopefully this Bucs game is the start of that. Of course, Bucs on a rest deficit compared to the 49ers, because the 49ers coming off the bye, and the Bucs had the Monday night game, went into overtime. 49ers, of course, traveling to Tampa Bay, early body clock game. Those early games always concern me because 49ers historically look like they're still sleeping in the first half of those games usually. So hopefully we get a different version of this team come Sunday. But yeah, looking forward to it. Let's see what Bucs fans are saying about this game for this week's Trash Talk Thursday. All right, so we got one Bucs fan that says, in response to Christian McCaffrey being activated and likely playing for this game, he says, of course he is. He's going to come back and shred us. The media will say he didn't lose a step. And I think we know there's a big possibility of that happening, because it's possible Christian McCaffrey didn't lose a step when he comes back from all of this. So that's kind of a big deal. And then another user says, for the love of Christ, we need to stop Kittle. These tight ends have been feasting on our defense. We must close the gaps we leave open for these guys. And on top of that, we got to work a bit on our four-man pass rush, because Mahomes was cooking it up against us. Purdy ain't no Patty, but with that many holes, something bad is bound to happen. Our DB room is already kind of screwed, so need these pass rushers to step it up, as well as our linebackers. Tight ends have been feasting, you say? Well, I know a tight end who has been feasting for the 49ers, and yes, his name is George Kittle. So I think in that respect, I do feel good about this matchup. I also expect that Purdy ain't no Patty. There's a nice ring to that. I also do expect that the 49ers are going to continue being good at getting into the red zone. This time around with Christian McCaffrey, I do expect they'll be able to score in the red zone a little bit more than they have been able to start this season. I also expect third downs will be a lot easier for the 49ers to convert. And let's not forget, Jawan Jennings probably should be back for this game too. And that can be a boost for them as well, because I think in that regard, they've missed him for the last couple of weeks. And another Bucs Reddit user says, 4-6 incoming, bros. Yeah. 49ers, on the other hand, trying to get to 5-4 and put themselves in a better position in the NFC West. So we'll see if they can do that against the Bucs, who are hurting at many different spots. 49ers, of course, are as well, or have been, but it seems like the 49ers getting healthy at a pretty good time. So hopefully that is enough for them. All right, let's move it along. All right, we got our $10 trivia. If you guys haven't been around for this, you guys know I put a trivia question up on the screen. To this week, it is, who led the 49ers in rushing touchdowns in 2003 with 7? First person who guesses right in the live chat will have $10 sent to them. So get your guesses in, people. In the meantime, while you guys do that, I'm going to check and see if there's any updates from the practice front for the 49ers. It doesn't seem like there is at this time. Matt Barrow said that Nick Bosa, who's dealing with the hip issue, he was on hand for warm-ups but left the field when practice started up. He was listed as limited in yesterday's practice. And he added that Bosa will be listed as limited today because he went through warm-ups, and some of the individual drills will be something to monitor tomorrow. Nick Bosa is one of those guys that doesn't need to practice all week to be able to play, I have to imagine, but definitely something to keep an eye on. On the other side of it, Baker Mayfield hasn't been practicing for the Bucs to this point with a toe injury, but reports are that he'll be okay. So they're just keeping him off of it for now, and he should still play as well. But all right, get your guesses in. Who led the 49ers in rushing touchdowns in 2003 with 7 rushing touchdowns? This is a trick question, people, so make sure you think carefully about this one. Man, and in the meantime, let me get my score prediction. I hadn't thought of this yet, but I am almost going to do my show with Mariah on her channel in about 20 minutes. And I do always get asked about my score prediction. I haven't thought about it. So let's see. I do think the 49ers get over 30 in this game. I think they're back to scoring points a little bit easier than pre-McCaffrey. CMC before Christian McCaffrey. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna predict. Oh, I guess I gotta still stick with the 49ers losing this game. 2 days ago I predicted I wasn't feeling very confident about the 49ers winning. Today I feel a little bit better for some reason, but yeah, can I still change my my prediction? I'm actually going to say I do think the 49ers win this time. And Tanisha, congrats. You got the $10 trivia correct. You know the drill. You have won before, so make sure to send me a request. And for everyone who is not on YouTube right now watching this, audio listeners, the answer is Jeff Garcia. In 2003, he had 7 rushing touchdowns for the 49ers, who led the team that season. So that's why I said it was a trick question. And that's why earlier in the show, I did say I was looking up former 49ers and Bucs players who had played for both teams. Jeff Garcia, one of those players. So make sure that, Tanisha, you send me that request either on Venmo or Zelle. Yeah, Jeff Garcia played 5 seasons for the Niners, 2 for the Niners. And like I said, Sherman played 3 for the Niners, 1 for the Bucs. And there was a few guys. Steve Young also played 13 seasons for the 49ers, 2 for the Bucs. Steve DeBerg played 3 seasons for the Niners, 6 for the Bucs. And Derek Deese, 10 seasons for the Niners, 1 for the Bucs. So there's a bit of a pipeline there. But yeah, Tanisha, congratulations. And everyone that has tuned in, thank you so much. Oh, let me finish my score prediction before we head out of here. And if you guys have any score predictions, put them in the chat real quick. All right, so I am going to say I do think the 49ers win this game now. I'm feeling more positive. Like the positive juices have been flowing now that I know Christian McCaffrey is going to be back. I know he's not going to be limited at all. I'm going to go with 34-28. No, 34-22. 34-22. It's a big difference. But I do think with some of the injuries that the Bucs are dealing with, I think it's a little harder for them to score. I think the defense might look a little bit different after this bye week, different as in better. So I am thinking they'll hold them off a little bit. But I do think the Bucs are a better team than people are thinking they are. Like everyone thinks, oh, they're missing their top 2 receivers. They don't stand a chance against anybody. Watch out for those running backs. Watch out for Cade Otton. Baker Mayfield has been playing some good football right now. So, yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting one. And I think this game, more than anything, will tell us where the 49ers kind of stand the rest of this season. I got your request, Tanisha, so I'll get that in after the show. Corey thinks 23-20. Oof. Even with Christian McCaffrey, you think they stayed a 23, huh? All right. 49ers throwback says 38-24. 49ers win. Yeah, kind of similar to me. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like the Bucs are pretty good. They're able to score some points. Like I said, like Baker Mayfield been pretty scrappy. So they were able to score on that Chiefs defense. That's definitely something to consider and something that's what I'm saying. Like they are good. Their offense is pretty good. So yeah, they are super competitive. Even when they had Godwin and Evans, they've been competitive, but they don't go down without a fight. I'll just say that about the Bucs. So yeah, it should be a good one. I feel like I'll be stressed out in this game, but hopefully the 49ers prevail. Like I said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be live again in about 15 minutes. Going to be dual streaming with Mariah. Audio listeners, this is it for today, Thursday. Make sure you guys like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Audio listeners, leave a rating, leave a review. Preview show tomorrow for this game. But for now, have a good rest of your Thursday, folks. Until I see you again. Peace.